Break free from the comparison trap forever. An audiobook by Rooted in Self-Love. Before we begin, I wanted to thank you for being a part of this journey with me. I am building a community of women that are stepping into their power and living to their full potential. There is a lot to look forward to in this journey. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any videos or updates on resources and activities in the community. Chapter 1, The Silent Thief of Joy. Comparison is a quiet intruder. It slips into your life through a glance at someone else's achievements, a scroll through social media, or even a conversation with a friend. At first, it seems harmless, just noticing how others live. But slowly, comparison becomes a thief, robbing you of peace, creativity, and the belief that who you are is enough. Psychologists call this social comparison theory, first introduced by Leon Festinger in the 1950s. His research showed that humans naturally measure themselves against others to understand where they stand. This instinct may have once helped us survive, knowing who was stronger or more resourceful in a tribe, but in today's world, it often works against us. We aren't just comparing with our neighbors anymore. We're comparing with millions of carefully curated lives online. Studies have found that constant comparison is linked to anxiety, depression, and lower self-esteem. In fact, research from the University of Michigan showed that the more time people spent on social media, the worse they felt about their own lives. The highlight reels we consume daily distort our reality, leaving us feeling as though we are perpetually behind. The danger of comparison isn't only in how it makes us feel, it's in what it steals from us. When we are busy measuring ourselves against others, we neglect the unique path set before us. Creativity shrinks because instead of asking, "What can I create?" we ask, "Will this measure up?" Joy fades because instead of savoring what we have, we ache for what we don't. Comparison whispers that we are not enough, but that whisper is a lie. The truth is, joy is found not in measuring, but in embracing. The first step to freedom is recognizing the thief for what it is and choosing, moment by moment, to guard your peace. Chapter 2, The Highlight Reel Illusion. We live in an age where comparison doesn't just happen in passing. It's delivered to us on glowing screens, 24/7. Social media, at its core, is designed to magnify the very instinct that keeps us comparing. Each post is carefully curated, filtered, and framed, giving us access not to reality but to a highlight reel. And when we measure our everyday lives against someone else's best moments, it's no surprise we come up short. Psychologists have found that our brains are wired to respond strongly to visual cues. When we see an image of a friend smiling on vacation or a colleague announcing another promotion, our brain processes it as evidence of reality, even if that snapshot hides the struggles, insecurities, and failures behind it. Neuroscience shows that the dopamine rush triggered by likes and shares keeps us hooked, making it harder to disengage from the cycle. This illusion can be especially damaging because it feels so personal. We don't just compare ourselves to celebrities anymore. We compare ourselves to people we actually know or think we know. And while we understand on a rational level that no life is perfect, our emotions often don't catch up to that logic. The truth is, social media is not evil. It's a tool. But like any powerful tool, it requires boundaries. Practical detox strategies can help. Try setting time limits on apps that trigger your comparison spiral. Curate your feed by unfollowing accounts that spark insecurity and replacing them with voices that inspire or educate. Introduce social media fasts, even for just a day or a weekend, to reconnect with your offline life. Most importantly, practice mindful scrolling, reminding yourself with each image that you are seeing a performance, not the full story. The highlight reel illusion loses power the moment you name it. When you see it for what it is, curated, edited, selective, you free yourself to step back into the richness of your own reality, unfiltered and unedited. Chapter 3. Your unique blueprint. There is something extraordinary about you that comparison can never capture. Your uniqueness. No two people on this planet share the same blend of experiences, talents, perspectives, and potential. Yet when we fall into comparison, we forget this truth and reduce ourselves to a scoreboard. Neuroscience confirms what intuition tells us. No two brains are alike. Research using brain imaging shows that each person's neural pathways are as unique as fingerprints. Even identical twins who share DNA develop distinct wiring in response to their individual environments and experiences. This means the way you process information, solve problems, and see the world is one of a kind. Your mind was designed with its own blueprint, shaped by your story. The danger of comparison is that it tries to force us into templates that were never meant for us. Measuring your timeline against someone else's is like comparing a sunrise to a symphony. Both are beautiful, but in entirely different ways. When you try to live another person's story, you abandon the richness of your own. Celebrating your uniqueness requires a shift in focus. Instead of asking, "Why am I not like them?" ask, "What makes me unlike anyone else?" Start by reflecting on your journey, the obstacles you've overcome, the lessons you've learned, and the strengths you've developed through struggle. These are not weaknesses compared to someone else's highlight reel. They are signatures of your growth. Practical steps help anchor this truth. Create a uniqueness inventory, a simple list of traits, talents, or experiences that set you apart. Revisit it when comparison strikes. Practice gratitude for your path by journaling about moments where being you made a difference, whether for yourself, your family, or your community, and affirm daily that your worth is not up for comparison. It is intrinsic. Your life is not meant to be a copy. It is a one-of-a-kind design, a masterpiece in progress. The sooner you honor your unique blueprint, the freer you'll be to step fully into the story only you can write. Chapter 4. When admiration turns toxic. Admiration, in its purest form, is a gift. It allows us to look at someone else's achievements, beauty, or strength and feel inspired to grow. But admiration has a shadow side. Without awareness, it can morph into envy, a corrosive force that leaves us feeling small, resentful, and inadequate. The difference lies in how we process what we see. Healthy admiration says, "If they can do it, maybe I can too." It sparks possibility and motivation. Toxic comparison says, "If they have it, I must be less." It fuels scarcity and shame. Instead of lifting us up, it drags us into cycles of bitterness. Research in psychology supports this distinction. Studies show that upward social comparison, looking at those we perceive as doing better, can either motivate us or harm us, depending on our mindset. When framed positively, it boosts effort and goal setting. When framed negatively, it erodes self-esteem and increases stress. The same event, watching someone succeed, can either light your path or darken it. The key is learning to channel admiration without letting it poison you. One way is to shift from envy to curiosity. Instead of thinking, "Why not me?" ask, "What can I learn from them?" This turns comparison into a teacher rather than a thief. Another step is to practice inspiration without imitation. Let someone's success encourage you, but don't abandon your unique blueprint to copy theirs. Practical tools help anchor this shift. Try gratitude redirection. When envy rises, list 3 things you're grateful for in your own journey. Use role models wisely. Follow people who inspire growth, not insecurity. And when you feel resentment, pause and reframe. Their success does not diminish your worth. It expands what's possible. Admiration becomes toxic only when you forget your own value. But when you hold on to the truth that you, too, have gifts to share, admiration can return to its rightful place as fuel, not fire. Chapter 5. Rewriting the inner script. Comparison doesn't just live outside of us. It echoes inside. Each time we measure ourselves against someone else and come up short, a script begins to form. I'm not good enough. I'll never measure up. They're better than me. Over time, these whispers become a constant inner dialogue, quietly shaping how we see ourselves and what we believe we can do. Psychologists call this automatic negative self-talk. Research in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, shows that unchecked, these thought patterns reinforce anxiety, depression, and low self-worth. But the good news is that thoughts are not permanent. The brain has neuroplasticity, the ability to rewire itself. That means the inner script can be rewritten. The first step is awareness. Begin by noticing your inner dialogue when comparison strikes. Write down the recurring phrases. Do they sound harsh, judgmental, or dismissive? Naming the script exposes it. Next comes reframing. Cognitive reframing teaches us to challenge distorted thoughts and replace them with balanced truths. For example, if your script says, I'm behind in life, you might reframe it as, my timeline is my own, and I'm moving forward at the pace that's right for me. If it says, I'll never be as successful as them, reframe it as, their success shows what's possible. Mine will look different, but no less valuable. Affirmations are another tool, short, powerful statements that plant new seeds in the mind. Try, I am enough as I am. My path is unfolding perfectly for me. I choose to celebrate, not compare. Spoken daily, affirmations interrupt the old script and reinforce a new one. Mindfulness strengthens this practice. By observing thoughts without judgment, you create distance between who you are and what your mind says. This space allows you to choose a different response instead of reacting automatically. Rewriting the inner script isn't about silencing all self-doubt. It's about teaching your inner voice to become an ally instead of an enemy. With practice, the voice that once tore you down can become the voice that builds you up. Chapter 6. The Power of Gratitude and Presence. Comparison thrives on a single idea: lack. It tells us that what we have is not enough, that who we are is not enough. Gratitude interrupts that cycle by training the mind to see abundance instead of scarcity. Neuroscience confirms this shift. Studies using brain scans show that practicing gratitude activates the brain's reward centers, releasing dopamine and serotonin, the same chemicals linked to happiness and calm. Over time, consistent gratitude practice strengthens neural pathways that focus on what is good, not what is missing. In other words, gratitude literally rewires the brain to look for joy. The second antidote to comparison is presence. Comparison often pulls us into the past, I should be further by now, or into the future, I'll never catch up. Mindfulness roots us in the here and now. Research from Harvard University found that people spend nearly 47% of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they're doing, and that this mental wandering is strongly linked to unhappiness. Presence, then, isn't just a spiritual practice. It's a proven path to greater well-being. Practical ways to build gratitude and presence are simple but powerful. Start with a daily gratitude ritual. Each morning or evening, write down 3 things you are thankful for, no matter how small. Over time, your brain will naturally notice more positives. For presence, try mindful breathing, just 5 minutes of focusing on your inhale and exhale. Or when comparison strikes, ground yourself with the question, what is true right now? This pulls you out of imagined lack and back into reality. Gratitude and presence work together. Gratitude teaches you to celebrate what is already here. Presence reminds you that this moment is enough. Together, they cut through the noise of comparison and anchor you in a deeper truth. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. Chapter 7. Celebrate the small wins. Comparison keeps us focused on the grand gestures of others, promotions, weddings, vacations, achievements posted for the world to see. But life is not built on occasional big moments. It is shaped by countless small ones. When we only value the extraordinary, we overlook the quiet victories that prove our growth and resilience. Psychology calls this the progress principle. Research by Harvard Business School found that of all the things that boost emotions, motivation, and perceptions during a workday, the single most powerful factor was making progress in meaningful work. Even small steps forward created a sense of momentum and satisfaction. Progress, not perfection, fuels motivation. Shifting focus from external validation to internal milestones requires a reorientation of what we celebrate. External validation depends on applause, likes, and recognition, things beyond our control. Internal milestones, on the other hand, are deeply personal, finishing a chapter of a book, speaking kindly to yourself after a mistake, or choosing patience in a difficult moment. These may seem insignificant, but over time, they build resilience and self-trust. Practical tools make this shift tangible. Try keeping a wins journal. Each day, write down one thing you accomplished, no matter how small. Over time, this practice rewires the brain to notice progress instead of absence. Another strategy is to set micro goals, small, achievable steps that bring a sense of completion and momentum. Celebrating these wins builds confidence and reminds you that growth is happening, even if it's not visible to others. Most importantly, practice internal celebration. Pause when you notice a win and actually acknowledge it. Smile, breathe deeply, or whisper to yourself, "I'm proud of this." The act of recognition matters as much as the win itself. When you train yourself to see and celebrate the small wins, you break free from the trap of waiting for external approval. Instead, you cultivate a steady stream of self-love and resilience, rooted not in comparison, but in progress. Chapter 8. Building a comparison-free environment. We are not just shaped by our thoughts. We are shaped by the people and spaces we inhabit. Conversations, social circles, and digital environments all subtly influence how often and how harshly we compare ourselves to others. Building a comparison-free environment is about creating spaces that uplift, support, and inspire rather than trigger insecurity. Start with your relationships. Psychologists have long studied the impact of social networks on mental health. Surrounding yourself with supportive, growth-minded people reduces the tendency to compare. Seek out friends who celebrate your wins without judgment, offer encouragement during setbacks, and model authenticity over perfection. Conversely, recognize relationships that drain you, those that breed competition, jealousy, or constant critique, and establish boundaries, even if it means stepping back. Boundaries extend beyond people. The environments we engage with daily, social media feeds, workspaces, and even our homes can either reinforce comparison or diminish it. Curate these spaces intentionally. Unfollow accounts that spark insecurity. Fill your feed with voices that educate, inspire, or make you feel seen. Organize your workspace or home in ways that reflect your values and goals, not someone else's. Role models also matter, but choose wisely. Admire people who exemplify growth, resilience, and authenticity rather than perfection. Observe them with curiosity, not judgment. Let them guide you, but never define your worth. Communities are another powerful anchor. Supportive groups, online or offline, offer connection without comparison. Shared learning, mentorship, and accountability create a space where progress is celebrated and authenticity is valued over competition. Ultimately, a comparison-free environment is a conscious choice. It requires attention, boundaries, and selective engagement, but the rewards are profound. Fewer self-critical thoughts, more energy for personal growth, and a sense of belonging without rivalry. By shaping your inner and outer world intentionally, you reclaim the space your mind deserves, a space for creativity, joy, and self-love, free from the shadows of comparison. Chapter 9. Redefining Success on Your Own Terms. Society loves to hand out blueprints for success. The high-paying job, the perfect house, the carefully curated life. But following someone else's map can leave you exhausted, unfulfilled, and trapped in comparison. True freedom comes when you define success for yourself, rooted in your values, not external benchmarks. Redefining success starts with self-reflection. Ask yourself, what matters most to me? Which achievements will bring me joy and meaning, not just recognition? This process turns the spotlight inward, shifting your focus from applause to alignment. When your definition of success is yours alone, the comparison trap loses its power. Stories of unconventional paths illustrate this beautifully. Consider the artist who abandoned a lucrative corporate career to create paintings that speak to her soul, or the entrepreneur who built a small business not to dominate the market, but to serve her community. Their success doesn't match society's checklist, yet their lives are rich, purposeful, and deeply satisfying. They teach us that thriving isn't about doing what everyone else does. It's about doing what you were meant to do. Research in positive psychology supports this approach. Studies show that individuals who pursue intrinsic goals, growth, relationships, contribution, experience higher levels of well-being than those chasing extrinsic goals like money, fame, or social comparison. Success, in this sense, is measured by fulfillment, not external validation. Practical steps help anchor this mindset. Create a personal success statement, a brief sentence that reflects what matters most to you. Revisit it regularly and measure progress against it, not against others. Surround yourself with stories, mentors, and communities that celebrate authenticity over conventional achievement. When you define success on your own terms, you release the burden of comparison and claim ownership of your life. You no longer live to meet someone else's standards. You live to honor your journey, your passions, and your values. In this freedom, fulfillment isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Chapter 10. Living Free, Living Fully. Imagine a life where comparison no longer dictates your choices, emotions, or sense of worth. A life where your joy is not borrowed from others' accomplishments, but cultivated from within. This is a life of freedom, authenticity, and deep, abiding peace. Living free begins with the small, daily decisions to honor your path. Gratitude, rituals, mindfulness practices, and celebrating your small wins are not just exercises. They are the building blocks of a life rooted in self-worth. By grounding yourself in the present and recognizing your unique journey, you stop measuring your value against someone else's highlight reel. You begin to see that your story, with all its twists, setbacks, and triumphs, is enough. Research shows that people who focus on intrinsic goals, personal growth, meaningful relationships, and contribution experience higher life satisfaction than those who chase external validation. This is your invitation to align your life with what truly matters to you, to cultivate joy in ways that comparison cannot touch. Practical steps make this vision tangible. Start each day with intention, a short meditation, journaling, or affirmation to anchor yourself. Pause often to notice progress, not perfection. Curate your environment, digital and physical, to support your growth rather than feed insecurity. Surround yourself with people who celebrate authenticity and let go of those who perpetuate comparison. Living fully also means sharing your journey. Your story, your challenges, lessons, and victories can inspire others who feel trapped by comparison. Ask yourself, who might need to hear what I've learned? How can my experience light the way for someone else? As we close this journey together, I invite you to take one simple action today. Reflect on a moment where you embraced your uniqueness and share it. Inspire, encourage, or simply remind someone that they too are enough. And if this audiobook has resonated with you, support this channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with others who need to break free from the comparison trap. You are free. You are enough. And the life you've been waiting for is waiting within you, ready to be lived fully.